I need to mute the computer so it doesn't give me the feedback. And once we get confirmation that that's going live, then start recording here. All right, so we're live, and one of the things that was presented to me by Michelle Calloway over the last week is she informed me of a program that I bought back in December of this year where I can design a 7 to 15 minute signature talk, and that's going to go out to media publications, news outlets, just a tremendous amount of promotion beyond that. And they're going to take this talk that I'm going to do this afternoon and turn that into an ebook. So best-selling author, things like that. I totally forgot that I bought this. And so I was talking on a mastermind call that I do on Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific time. And she reminded me that that's what I needed to do. And so I'm going, okay, well, I need to get this done today. And there was 2 other people on the call that day, and they need to do the same thing. So I'm going, okay, well, why don't I just teach how to design a 7 to 15 minute signature talk? And what qualifies me to do that? Well, I've been speaking professionally for over 30 years. I've had an opportunity to speak on stage with Zig Ziglar, when he was alive, Les Brown, Robert Kiyosaki. I've spoken in front of audiences over 10,000 people. I deliver, prior to COVID, anywhere from 45 to 50 front of the room talks every single year all across the country. I've trained now well over 385 speakers in 12 different countries on how to deliver a front of the room talk and how to deliver a talk that actually you can sell and pitch from the front of the room, as well as keynote speeches. And so half the talks I do are requested keynote talks that I do. I have a custom signature keynote that I do for large conventions. And so this is going to be a lot of fun. And I've got my 2 friends here, Jacqueline and Myrna here. And so I want to give them an opportunity real quick, kind of some free advertisement for their business here. So Myrna, why don't you unmute yourself real quick and give us about a 30-second to 1 minute introduction to you, your business, what it is that you do, who's your perfect client?
Okay, well, I'm just starting a brand new business, and the website is going to be BuyBabz, BUYBABZ. I'm Canadian, so it's Z.com. And what we've created is a keto, vegan, shelf-stable, dry mix burger that's high nutrition, high protein, and will be ideal in all kinds of environments, as I'm discovering just today. The best way that people can help me is get in touch with me if they're interested in keto, vegan kind of products. And I want to start to be interviewing people so I understand more about that. Beyond the product, though, I want to also develop a community of people that cares about how they eat, how they take care of themselves, how they align with their family and their friends. Because I think, especially as we're coming out of this period of time, we really need to have support of others so that we can grow and have more full, rich lives.
Awesome. Thank you. Jacqueline. You need to unmute yourself. Here, let me.
Hi, John. Thanks for having me here.
You're there. I can hear you.
Yay. So you know they're out there, your ideal clients that you know you can serve, but you just can't get in contact with them. You can't get in front of them. You can't get them on a call. You can't get them on a Zoom. I help you use LinkedIn, your free LinkedIn account, to be able to get in contact with your ideal target audience without paid ads and without Sales Navigator. And you know you can close if you can just get in front of the right people. I can help you to get in front of the right people and get qualified leads in 60 days or less with my LinkedIn client formula at the LinkedIn address that you can see right at the bottom.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, let's get cracking here. All right, let me get that set up. All right. So what we're talking about today is we're talking about how to craft your signature talk. And one of the things to understand, a couple of key things to understand about public speaking is this. Most people are scared to death of it. Most people, they're afraid of it. They don't think they have something to say. They're afraid of making a mistake. They're afraid of looking bad. Whatever it is, their personal hang-up is what prevents most people from going into the public speaking space. And one of the things that one of my mentors taught me a long time ago is, you know what, John? Authenticity is the number one key to a great talk. Talk about things that you're passionate about. Talk about things that you know intimately, things that you have had a tremendous amount of experience with. Those are the things that you want to talk about. Stories suspend time. And every good speech that you've ever heard, go to YouTube, go to some of the greatest speakers in the world, and if you go back and you pay attention to their talk, what they're doing is they're telling one story after another. And the reason that's so important is audience engagement. An example would be this. The very first release of Star Wars was actually Episode 4, back in the 70s when I was less than 10 years old. And I remember it was a big deal. It came out, and we went to the theater, and one of the things in the scenes is they land on this battleship to try to save the princess. So they land there, they go into the control room, R2-D2 plugs into the deal, and C-3PO, and they're hunting down the princess, and they find the princess. So Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, they're going to go and find the princess, and Obi-Wan Kenobi is going to go find Darth Vader. And so they're off to the races. So they find the princess, and the mystery of finding the princess, and so they find the princess, they open the door, and oh my God, we found the princess, everything is great. And immediately she starts criticizing Han Solo, and so, but we're here to rescue you, and so they walk out the door, and there's a fight, right? You got the stormtroopers are like boom, 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 boom. Oh my God, chaos, chaos, chaos. So they shoot a hole in the wall, and so they go from excitement, we found the princess, to chaos. They're firing their gun, their weapons, and then they jump into the garbage pit. And oh my God, we're safe again. Life is good. It's all great. And then next thing you know, there's something moving around, and the serpent grabs Luke and pulls him under. Oh my God, the world's falling apart. Luke is gone. Oh my God, he can't be found. And so next thing you know, Luke rises up, and the serpent leaves, and all of a sudden the serpent leaves. They're like, whoa, what's going on? Okay, we're all excited again. Luke's safe. He's safe. Then what happens next? The walls start to collapse. They're like, oh my God, we're going to die. And so they get on the phone to C-3PO. C-3PO, you got to have R2 shut it down. Please shut it down now. Oh my God, we're going to die. We're going to die. And next thing you know, they shut it down. And so they get out. Well, if you go back to the movie, that's only about 4 minutes of the movie. And if you follow the trail of that, what has happened is they've gone up and down, emotion, high, low, high, low. And that's one of the keys to a great talk, is you want to walk your audience through an experience. And so having a structure to a talk, which is what I'm going to go over today, will help you craft that talk for yourself. Couple other key things. Understand this. If you mess up the entire talk, no one will know except you. That's good news, because what stops most people from giving a great talk is they're so worried about making a mistake or messing up or screwing this line up or screwing that line up. And when I finally realized, when my speaking coach a long time ago told me and just put it in my head, he goes, stop worrying about you. Focus on, hey, there's 1 or 2 people in this entire audience, whether it's 10,000 people, whether it's 10 people, that need to hear your message, and focus on adding value to their life versus the words coming out of your mouth. And focus on them and the audience, and stop worrying, which will allow you to stop worrying about making a mistake. Final tip. I learned this from the number one closer of the front of the room. Tony Martinez closes at an average of 45% from the front of the room, which is consistently, not just like one night, but for years. And one of the things that he taught me is he said, okay, when you are going to go and give a talk, once you have your talk down, you need to dress up just like you're going to dress on stage. You need to position yourself just like you're going to be on stage. And you need to give that talk as if you're giving it live at least 3 or 4 times before ever walking onto that stage. And that will get rid of the stage fright jitters. It will be not the first time. Never, ever, 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 never practice on your audience. But I want you to practice that talk and give it live as if you're in front of 1,000 people. And so those 3 tips that I just gave you will change your entire outlook on speaking. So now let's talk about your talk. When you're going to craft a talk, and I'm going to talk in terms of a 45-minute talk for right now. And then I'm going to show you how to take this formula. And I wish I invented this formula, but it wasn't. It was Earl Nightingale invented this. Jim Rohn learned it from Earl Nightingale. And Jim Rohn taught it to Tony Robbins, who taught it to my mentor, Eric, who taught it to me. And it's a formula that you'll see. Once I explain this formula to you, you'll go back and look at any talk that you've ever been a part of and any talks that you go going forward, and you'll be able to see exactly where they transition in these points because it's a script. It is a structure to a talk. And it's called intro, outcomes, chunk 1, chunk 2, chunk 3, call to action. So intro, outcomes, chunk 1, chunk 2, chunk 3, call to action. That's a 45-minute talk. If you want to do in our case, a 7 to 15-minute signature talk. Intro, you can skip outcomes. You can go into chunk 1 and maybe chunk 2, but you also need a call to action. One other important tip is you can, I learned this a long time ago, you can screw up the entire speech. And as long as your call to action, your close is solid, it will work. Okay? So let's talk about the breakdown, an intro. Any of the great speeches, just here's your first homework assignment. Go to YouTube and type in great speeches, great speech intros. And what you're going to find is this. Great speakers either start off with a question, a problem, a story, okay, and or a quote. So they will start off their speeches with that, something to grab the audience's attention. Once you have their attention and they're paying attention, now they're going to listen to you. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And so always understand who your audience is. And so whenever I go and do a speech, whenever anybody books me for a speech, I always have a 15-minute conversation with the person that booked me or who controls the audience. I want to know who the audience is. I want to know the makeup of the audience. I want to know what the primary driver is for them attending that event. I want to know my audience so I can craft my talk to capture the attention of that audience. Because if I go in to talk to an audience that's made up of, let's just pull something out of the air, real estate professionals, and I go in and I start talking about mortgages, probably going to lose the audience right away. And I'll be able to tell standing from that front of the room because they'll start checking their cell phone, they'll go to the restroom, I've lost them. And so understanding who my audience is the most important thing in the very first step of crafting your signature talk. So when you're crafting, in this case, where you're crafting a 7 to 15-minute signature talk, you need to think about who is the target audience that I am going after for this talk? Who is the person that I want this to resonate with the most? And if you're a business owner and you have a lot of customers and you're going after if your 7 to 15 minute signature talk is about, hey, I want to have a 7 to 15 minute signature talk to capture more of the clients that I already do business with, then the very first thing I would do is sit down and survey at least 5, 10, 15 of your existing clients that you absolutely love and ask them things like, hey, if you're in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, would you refer me? They'll say yes. Let's just say you're talking to that person. What would you say about me to that person? And they're going to tell you, and they're going to give you those keywords. What is your biggest business problem that you have? And you want to get a list of those things. So they're going to tell you and give you all the information that you need to go out and talk to other people just like them. They're going to give you the keywords to use to attract more people like them. So if you don't already have that, that is the first step you need to do before you even start thinking about your intro. Okay. So in my case, I go after small business owners that are between startup mode and $1 million, and they have to be a service-based business. The other thing I know that they have a problem with is they have a problem with strategy and execution. But more importantly, the number one thing that people have a problem with when they're between a zero and $1 million is the accountability to their plan of action. And so I know that from surveying my existing clients and hundreds of other business owners on what the biggest problem is there's nobody to answer to. And so accountability becomes the ultimate holy grail, if you will, to that audience. And so from an intro standpoint, you want a story in there. You want a heartfelt story about yourself. So all the things that you would consider baggage, all the things that you would consider failures, all the things that you would think about, you know what, oh my God, that's just so embarrassing, I wouldn't share that. Those are the things that capture people's attention. They make you real to your audience, okay? So if I was going to start out like I'm going to do in about an hour, I'm going to do my 7 to 15 minute signature talk. And so I'm looking for a problem. I'm looking for something I can ask the audience to grab their attention. And so if I was starting the recording right now, I would say, how many of you out there as small business owners have started your business, and maybe you might be a year into it, maybe you might be 10 years into it, but you're stuck. And all the knowledge that you have had up to this point has gotten you where you want to go. And the only reason you're watching this video is because you had the same result last year and the year before, and you're fed up. You're done. You're ready for a breakthrough. And you just need one golden nugget, one great idea on how to get there. My name is John Pyron, and I built 7 businesses over the last 30 years, 3 of them multi-million-dollar businesses from scratch. And I want to tell you something else you don't know about me. I was homeless on the streets of East Oakland, dropped out of high school in the 11th grade, was highly addicted to drugs. I mean, had no chance of success. And it's because of a mentor named Gary Ballard that on July 27th, 1987 at 12:35 in the afternoon, saved me and got me help and changed my life. The reason I'm passionate about helping you today is because I have helped thousands of people get unstuck just like you are right now. And so I'm going to give you 2 or 3 tips on today's talk that are going to help you create that breakthrough that you've been looking for. So let's get started. So that's a good intro, right? So if you go back and listen to the recording, that's only about 2 minutes. And so you want your intro to be short, sweet, to the point. 2 5 minutes at the max, depending on the amount of time you have to talk. In a 7 to 15 minute signature talk, I'm going to shorten that to about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes at the most. I want to be able to set the groundwork. And I've made some commitments there. I told them who I am. I told them why they should listen to me. What is my credibility? And if you don't have credibility, then borrow somebody else's credibility. And then the other thing I've done is I shared with them a heartfelt story, my own past. Okay, dropped out of high school, drug addict, no chance in life, real story. So, but what I've done is I've now captured that audience. And then I stated what the biggest problem is that most business owners have in the space I'm personally going after, which is they're stuck. They're out of knowledge. I don't want somebody typically in a startup mode that is angry at their boss because they feel already that they can do it and they needed some more pain before they get to that level. Typically startup people, they have been thinking about starting a business and they're ready to go, and they want some help, But people that are leaving their job and they're mad and they're going to go start a business because they got a better idea than their boss, typically not going to be ready for at least a year after they've gotten beat up a lot and realize, oh crap, I didn't realize how much is involved in actually running a business. I thought it was so simple, and that's usually where I capture them. So in my intro, that's what I've captured with these people. So before I move on to the next step, I want to open this up for some Q&A. So Myrna or Jacqueline, do either one of you have any questions about intro?
No, I thought it was quite succinct, especially to have the timing of it to be 90 to 120 seconds. And that heartfelt story thing kind of draws them in. So now they want to know the outcome. They sort of start to sense the outcome because if you're on the stage and you're talking, but they want to know the end of the story now. Now you've got them because they're curious about how you got there, how you landed on the stage from the streets, right? Yeah. That's interesting.
Jacqueline, you have any questions or comments? You're muted.
No, John, no questions as yet.
Okay. All right. So a lot of really good points there is I need to be relatable to the audience. And part of the heartfelt story piece is collecting a list of your failures, a list of what other what most people have dragged around as baggage for a year now becomes an asset. Okay. Because I want to be able to relate to everybody in that audience. And so you may not have ever been homeless or dropped out of high school or drug addict, or, a lot of you are going to be watching this recording, but you have your own unique story. What are some challenges that you've gone through to get to where you're at right now? Where were you at before? How did you get there, and where are you at now? And once you connect that with the audience, the most important thing is there needs to be a constant, and this is something you develop over time as you speak a lot, is there's something that goes off in my head automatically as I'm speaking. And you develop this over time, but by me sharing it with you right now could plant that seed for you. And that is, I'm constantly evaluating, am I landing the plane? Am I landing the plane? Am I landing the plane? Am I giving them what they're after? Right? Because most people, when we're listening to a speaker, we're like, what does this have to do with me? What's in it for me? If I don't connect those dots all throughout my talk, I'm going to lose them. Okay. Myrna, you had a question?
I was just quite intrigued by the idea of the continuum that you've created about where were you and where you are now. And you've created that curiosity in the middle about how did you get there? Like that's really intriguing because it creates a lovely continuum.
Yeah. Now they want to know.
Yeah.
Like, whoa. Where'd this guy come from? Like when I was first, from 2012 to the middle of 2014, I was helping an individual grow his trainer program worldwide. And so I had to leverage his background, his relationship, his credibility, and it wasn't about me. It was about him and his brand. Okay, so I got very good at telling his story and capturing the audience with his story, and letting them know, hey, I'm going to share with you exactly how he got there. Because I didn't have my own story at the time, and I didn't have a product or service I was selling. I was selling his product or service from the front of the room. And so I had to tell his heartfelt story, connect the dots for him, and ended up closing an average of 58% from the front of the room, selling somebody else's stuff from the front of the room. And so the formula still works the same. It just depends on what your ultimate result is. So it's easier to craft a speech when you have the close figured out, where you want to lead the audience ultimately, whether it be, in this case, a 7 to 15 minute signature talk. I ultimately want to lead people to my website. There's not enough time in a 7 to 15 minute speech to pitch or sell a product. Some people can probably do it. I've never done it. But what I can do in 7 to 15 minutes is it's like the old saying, I can lead a horse to water, but I can't force them to drink, but I sure as heck can make them thirsty. And I want to make them thirsty enough in a 7 to 15 minute signature talk that I want to guide them to, in my case, I'm going to guide those people to a landing page. And that's how that's going to have an evergreen effect. Okay. So before we move on to the next piece of the puzzle, any other questions about intro?
No, that's just so interesting to me, that the simplicity.
Okay.
John, is there a better opening for a service like a consultant versus any other type of business? As opposed, when you're talking about question versus problem, story, quote.
So we're talking specifically about your business. I'm taking it, right?
Sure.
Okay. And so who's your audience?
Small business owners.
Small business owners. And your ultimate goal is to lead them to what? To
either my webinar or my program itself, directly to the program.
Okay. And the biggest problem your audience has is what?
Like your audience being stuck in getting quality leads.
Okay. And so I would imagine you're in this space because at some point you were stuck in how to get leads from LinkedIn, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so you had this problem yourself in your own business, and you have solved that problem, and you've had a lot of success with it, right?
Yes.
And you've had a lot of people that you've taught these strategies to that have now had a lot of success, right?
Yes.
Okay. And so if you take all those questions that I just answered and you put those in together in a puzzle, it's like, hey, everybody, my name is Jacqueline, and you don't know me. I don't know you, but I do know this. As a small business owner, I thought LinkedIn would be a gold mine for me, and it just frustrated me. Now, notice the voice inflection, the rolling of the eyes, the body language. It just frustrated me to no end. I could not make it work. Just like some of you, I would imagine you could not make it work. And I'm sitting there and I got this big dream and I got this business idea that I want to do and I'm trying to get it accomplished and I'm trying to create leads and I'm like stuck. Yeah, I can't figure this out. And I'm paying Sales Navigator and I'm paying all these extra fees to LinkedIn and it's just not working. Now, if you resonate with what I just said, listen for another 15, 20 seconds because here's what I did. I found a mentor, okay? And a mentor could be YouTube. I'm off script right now. Mentor could be a YouTube channel, could be a video, could be a program you bought. I don't whatever, right? So I got some mentorship, and what I've been able to do is take that and implement it, and now I get as many leads, qualified leads as I want without paying a single dime to LinkedIn. If that resonates with you, then I'm about to tell you 2 things that you can do right now, that you can implement right after you watch this short video, that you'll have success with. And if you resonate with this, the only thing I ask from you is to send me a direct message on LinkedIn and tell me that you watched the video, tell me that you maximized it, and that it worked for you. So let's get started. Boom. So you see the difference? So I am sharing my own personal experience because I could talk about it with authority, with passion. When I'm doing my signature talk, my keynote talk, almost probably, forget political correctness, but probably 80% of the women in the audience are crying and half the men are. Okay, just because of the way I nail it, right? Because of the way the story plays out. It's about 2 kids, Melvin and Cindy, that grew up in a very dysfunctional home. And in the summary, the summary of the whole thing is about a 15-minute keynote, sometimes 20 minutes. But the way I tell the story is about how these 2 grew up in a very physically abusive home. Their mom was a prostitute, drugs, alcohol. Both ended up dropping out of high school. Both ended up on drugs. Both of them, just had 0 chance of success in life. And then something key at age 17 happened is one decided to stay on the drug route, and one decided to not only stay on the drug route, become a manufacturer of drugs and the number 1 dealer of that particular drug in the state of Texas, which ultimately landed her husband in prison for many years, and the FBI and all this other people got involved. The other one, Melvin, ended up going down the road of business ownership and getting help and becoming a huge success person. And really the difference between this is the choices that those 2 people made. They both came from the same cloth. They both came from the same background. They both came from the same upbringing. But because of the people that crossed their path, the mentors that came in their life, one chose this route and the other one chose this route. And at age 40, one of them, Cindy, put a shotgun to her head and blew her head off. That was age 40. Melvin, at age 40, ends up in the center page of the Sacramento Business Journal because he had built the company from 0 to $1 million while the economy was collapsing. The moral of the story is this: doesn't matter where you come from, it matters the mentors and the people that you listen to in your life. And that's a keynote. Now, when I get to the end of the keynote, they're like, oh my God. And then I land the plane as, oh, by the way, my first name is Melvin and my middle name is John. And the whole audience is like, the whole room's quiet, and people are crying, and they realize their own limitations have been holding them back all these years, that all the excuses that I could have made didn't fly, And so understanding your audience and understanding how to capture them in that keynote, right, and connecting with them, in any speech that you do is very, very important, right? So the only reason I shared all that is the emotion piece is what has to come through. You need to remember what it's like, what it was like when you couldn't figure LinkedIn out. When that tipping point happened for you, when you're like, I'm done, I'm fed up, I'm sick of it, I'm going to make this successful. And getting that emotion into your speech is going to be huge, especially in the intro. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now that we've got our intro, we need a transition statement. It's called a transition statement from the intro into chunk 1. And so at the end of what I talked about earlier is like, okay, so if you're a business owner and you can relate to me and you're stuck in your business, let me share with you a couple of things that I think will make a big difference in your business. That's a transition statement. So now they're prepared. So in a 7 to 15 minute speech, I'm not going to share with them an outcome. Okay. So I could easily, if I was going to introduce an outcome into a 7 to 15 minute speech, then how I would do it in this situation is, you know what? So if you resonate with me, okay, and you identify with the problem I just shared, I'm going to share with you 2 things that you can take action on today. Okay, with or without my help, you're going to be able to take action on these 2 things. Going to change everything about your business going forward. In fact, it could be that one single breakthrough that you've been looking for all this time. Before I get started, the one outcome I have before I get started is I'm going to give you my website. And the only thing I ask is, if you get a lot of value out of this, that you share this video with other people and that you connect with me and let me know that you did it. That's all I'm asking. So that would be an example of an outcome. If I was given a 45-minute front of the room talk, I would go, okay, so before I get started, I got 2 outcomes for today. Number 1 is I'm going to share with you some great content. I'm going to share with you, in fact, not only am I going to share with you some great content, I'm going to share with you step by step how to take action on that content. And the only reason that it will not work is because you don't take action on it. So that's my number 1 objective. Number 2 is I'm going to give you an opportunity to mentor with me. And I'm going to show you how to do that at the end. So at the end of my talk today, I'm going to give you an opportunity to mentor with me. So I want to let you know that up front, that, yeah, at the end of my talk, I'm going to offer you something. Okay, so I want to put your mind at ease, so that way over the next 30 minutes, you can relax and just digest the content. Whether you connect with me or not at the end of the day, doesn't really matter with me. If some of you know me, and you've been following me for all this time, you already know that you're going to buy what I'm going to sell today, then just go to johnpyron.com/whatever the code is, right? So that would be an example of a outcome statement. Okay, it's usually about 2 minutes long. Okay, and then the transition would be, okay, so let's hop into the content. Okay, I have a transition statement. So in this case, the one I'm going to talk about this afternoon, the recorded talk I'm going to do this afternoon, is going to be about referrals. Okay, it's probably the number 1 topic I get requested to speak on whenever I talk. Okay, is referral systems. One of the best things I'm known for is how to create a referral system in a business. So now that I've done my intro, it's like, okay, so if that's you, if you're a business owner, you've been stuck, I'm going to share with you 2 things today in a short period of time. I'm only going to take about 5 minutes here, and I'm going to share with you these 2 things. And if you take action on these 2 things, I promise you this, you're going to have success. If not, I will make you this agreement. You go to my website, johnpyron.com/book-appointment, or just select on book appointment, and you schedule 10 to 15 minutes with me, and I will give you 10 to 15 minutes for free to tweak what it is that I've asked you to do. You know how many appointments I'm going to get out of that? None, because everything I'm going to share with you right now, you're going to be able to take action on without me. So you see how I introduced that chunk? Now I really got their attention, okay? Because I took away the fact that, hey, I'm not going to pitch anything to them. I guaranteed it. I gave them an out in a way to connect with me. So I kind of dropped a little seed on how to connect with me instead of an appointment there. But now they're like, give it to me. Share with me, right? So now that I've transitioned into the chunk, the first part of the chunk is I'm going to tell them what I want them to hear, which is what I just did. I'm going to share with you 2 ideas that you're going to be able to take action on today, whether you work with me or not, whether you connect with me or not. My goal is to share these 2 things so clearly that you can take action on without ever having to get a hold of me. So I told them what I'm about to talk about. And now I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to go, one of the key things, so now I'm going to give them some content. So one of the key problems I talk to business owners all the time is they have great clients. They have clients that love them. They have clients that have done business with them over and over and over again. But the one area that most business owners get stuck is they don't have a consistent referral system. They don't have consistent new leads coming into the business. And so they're paying Google pay-per-click. They're paying on all this internet advertising. They're paying on all this stuff to drive a new customer to their business and ignoring their most valuable source of referrals, which is happy, satisfied customers. And so the one thing I will tell you on this talk today is this. Now I'm going to transition into giving them the step-by-step how to do what I'm telling them to do. So the first thing you do is you call up your existing customer, the one that you love, the wow client, the one that if they called you on this cell phone and you saw them, right, and you would not send them to voicemail. You would be like, oh my God, hey, what's up? That's the customer I'm talking about, not the customer that calls you up and you're like, let's have that go to voicemail first. That's not the wow customer I'm talking about. So what I'm talking about is the customers that you like, they like you. Okay, and it's very simple. Here's a step-by-step. I'm going to give them the step-by-step in this chunk. Here's a step-by-step. I want you to make a list of your wow customers. Okay, maybe 1, maybe 10, maybe 20. The more, the merrier. Pick up the phone. Don't send them an email. Don't send them a carrier pigeon. Don't send them a note. Don't pass a note between study halls. None of that stuff. Now, notice what I'm adding here. I'm adding humor to my talk. Humor creates rapport. It engages the audience. So I need to know my material well enough where I can ad-lib while I'm talking. Okay? And so things like, you don't need to get, don't send an email, don't send a carrier pigeon, okay? Don't do any of that. Okay? I want you to do the old-fashioned way. I want you to pick up the phone, and I want you to call them. And I want you to call them up and say, hey, John Pyron, how you doing? And if you have a good enough relationship with this customer, say, hey, what's up? And then I want you to say to them, hey, do you got about 5 minutes? I need about 5 minutes of your time. If now's not a good time, let's schedule a time. I've got some very important stuff I want to ask you, and I value your opinion. Oh, yeah, I got time right now. Okay, great. I'm looking for more customers just like you. And the reason I want people just like you is because I got to thinking, I really enjoy our relationship. I enjoy you as a customer. I enjoy our interaction. I enjoy the results that both of us get. I like the feeling that I have working with you. You know what they're going to say? Thank you. They always do. That's a script. So I got a couple questions for you. Number one is, if you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, would you refer me? And they're going to say yes. Number two, next question to ask them is this. Let's just say you're talking to the person that you're going to refer me to. Now I'm planting a seed. You're going to refer me to. Those are key seeds I'm dropping in there. So when you're crafting your chunks, you want to drop little seeds of information that guide them to your product or service, okay? Or guide them to the close, the ultimate result of what you're looking for. So in this case, what I'm doing is I'm telling my customer, hey, or I'm telling my audience, let's just say you're talking to the person that you're going to refer me to, i.e. I'm planting a seed. You're going to refer me, right? So let's just say you're talking to that person right now. What would you say about me? And they're going to tell you. And you want to write all that down. Write it all down. You help me with this. You help me with strategy. You help me with planning. You help me with execution. You hold me accountable. That's probably the best thing you do for me, John, is you hold me accountable to my plan. Okay. Okay, is that it? Great. Okay, so I help you with strategy, with planning, with execution, and I hold you accountable to planning. Is there anything else? No. Okay. Here's what I want to do for you, Joe. I'm going to put this in a paragraph, a statement, a 2-3 sentence paragraph, kind of add some words, some little marketing keywords, that sort of thing. I'm going to send it to you. Okay. Can you look that over and approve it? Because I want to use that in my marketing. Would you be okay with that? He's going to say yes. Okay. So one other question, Joe, is you said if you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, you would. And if you were talking to the person, you said this. So I'm just curious, what's your biggest business problem right now? Boom. Now, these questions, when you're asking them in this Q&A, are specific to your industry. So you need to ask the questions. It's called surveying your customer. Okay. And so I'm going to say, hey, thank you, Joe. I really appreciate it. Now, what I'm going to do with that information is I'm going to do this with multiple customers, and I'm going to look at the different quotes. So not only am I going to get marketing quotes out of the deal, but I'm going to highlight the commonalities that all my clients say, and those are going to give me all my marketing keywords that I'm going to use on my social media, my website, my verbiage. I'm going to repackage my 30-second pitch. I'm going to do all this stuff. So I told you one thing. I told you I'm going to give you two. Okay. The first thing is I want you to survey your customers, your happy customers. And I want you to get their honest opinion about you and why they do business with you. Step number two, the second thing, second tip before I wrap this talk up. The second tip, okay, now that you've got the first tip down, and any of you can do it, and I would do it at least every quarter or 6 months at the minimum. Create a system out of it. The second step is I want you to call them back 48 hours later. So I want you to take their keywords, put it in the sentence, send it to them that day, get their approval. They're going to give you the approval. And then I want you to follow up 48 hours, 72 hours at the max. Okay, this is the second tip. 72 hours max, I want you to follow up with them. And when you call them and say, hey, thank you so much for getting that to me. I got to thinking, I asked you a question. If you were in a position to refer me to a friend or colleague, you said you would. And I forgot to ask the follow-up question. By the way, who were you thinking of when you said that you would refer me? And I zip it. And they're going to say, I don't really know off the top of my head. Let me think about it. Or they might say, well, I was thinking about this person. But most of the time, they're going to say, let me think about it. Okay, I'm sorry I put you on the spot. But if you did know somebody, who would that be? And I can't tell you, I don't know how the psychology works, but I can't tell you how many times I've asked that question. They always give me a referral. So if you did know somebody, who would that be? Most of the time, they'll come back with a name, and I want to say, okay, how do you spell their first name? Okay, how do you spell their last name? What's their phone number? What's their email address? Why do you think they would be a good referral for me? Can I reference your name? Yeah. On occasion, they'll say, no, I really need to think about it. Just say, okay, today is Tuesday. Can I follow back up with you on Thursday? And I'm going to send you over a referral sheet. And oh, by the way, since you're listening to this 7 to 15 minute signature talk, if you want that referral form, just send me a text at 916-741-0596. It's 916-741-0596 with your name and your email address, and I will send you the referral form and a recording of this video. Okay, so that's something else I did there from a signature talk thing is I dropped something for free that I can give to them in exchange for their contact information because I've earned it up to this point. I've given them 2 tips that are extremely valuable that they can take action on, and now I want the contact information. And so in order to get the contact information, regardless of what kind of business that you have, you need to find something that you can give them for free in exchange for their contact info. So notice how I subtly drop that in there. Is I go, hey, let's just say they really don't know and they need to think about it. Well, I would send them a referral form. Referral form is going to say, here's a great lead for me, and it's going to have some 4 spots for them to give me a referral. And hey, can I follow up with you 2 days from now and get those referrals? Oh, by the way, take the form I'm going to send you. Make it create it for your own business. Send that back to me. I'm going to see if I can get you some referrals 3 days from now too. And I set an appointment with that customer. And so if you execute on this, I promise you this, not only will your marketing be nice and tight and fresh, and you're going to constantly capture the perfect clients that you want to work with, but you're going to have a referral system that produces more revenue for you than you'll ever get from marketing, from spending thousands of dollars on marketing. Now, this works really well if you're a service-based business. I want to preface that. If you're a product-based business or an online store business, there's other different marketing strategies. But if you're a service-based business like myself, then this will work. So that's chunk one, okay, and part of chunk two. Okay, now I'm going to tighten that down, okay, when I give that talk. But I'm explaining what I'm doing here. Okay, so in the chunk, I transitioned to the chunk. I told them, here's the problem, here's the solution to the problem, here's the step-by-step to the problem, here's a free resource I'm going to give you. I used a Google Voice phone number versus my cell number. Okay, that way when they text me, it comes into my email, and then it can go right into my database. And now I'm done with the chunk. So let me finish up, and I'm going to transition into what's called the call to action. So before I do that, let me open it up. Do either one of you have any questions about how to structure your chunk in a 7 to 15 minute talk? Now, before I move on, if you want to do a 45-minute speech, it's intro, outcomes, chunk 1, chunk 2, chunk 3, call to action. If you want to do a 2-day talk or a 1-day talk, intro, outcomes, chunk 1, chunk 2, chunk 3, chunk 4, chunk 5, take a break, chunk 6, chunk 7, chunk 8, chunk 9, take a lunch. And each talk is broken down into chunks, and chunks are pieces to a puzzle. Does that make sense? Any questions?
I just like reminding you of your pieces of brilliance. The best piece of brilliance out of this, I think, was, oh, I forgot when I talked to you the other day to ask you for referrals. Like that, because again, in that moment in time, it sounds too contrived. But when you phone and say, oh, sorry, I forgot, you'd said that. I think that's completely brilliant.
Jacqueline, you have any questions?
No, I really like your system. I've seen similar ones, but this is very straightforward and to the point and very simple to remember. I've seen others that are a little more complicated, so this is a great system.
Now, one other thing before I move on to this particular chunk, okay, this particular referral system, if I was actually given a 45-minute talk and I had longer than 15 minutes, the only other thing I would add here, okay, is what I would add would be at the end, I would say to them, I'd capture their information, and then what I would do is I would end the chunk with a story, a success story. Okay. So if you go back on my YouTube channel or on my website and you see any of the live front of the room talks that I put up there, there's like this particular talk, how to 10x your referrals, I've done probably 300-400 times, and the entire speech is up on YouTube. Right. And if you go back and watch that YouTube channel, you'll see at the end of each chunk, I tell a story pertaining to that chunk. So in this case, after I've told this story, I'd say, okay, you know what? Give you an example. Let me talk to you about my client, Jackson Sands Engineering. Frank Sands, Sean Jackson started this company almost 2.5 years ago. And they have not only doubled their business, they've almost 10x their business in less than 2.5 years. Call them up, ask them, they'll tell you flat out. And what they'll tell you is this. They're engineers. Okay? They are civil engineers. Neither one of them are what you would consider a traditional salesperson. They're not the people that are going to pick up the phone and make hundreds of phone calls. It just ain't going to work for them. And they grew their business 40% during COVID. And you know how they did it? With this system. All I told them is I said, sit down and make a list of all the customers that you have had since you've been in business and run this exact system on them. And you're going to get referral after referral after referral after referral. Then I want you to do this with your friends, with your, friends and colleagues and family. I want you to do this exact same approach with them, and you're going to get referrals. That's how they've been able to achieve 45% growth during COVID, during their second, I guess it would be a year and a half in business. And they've accomplished something that I'm blown away at what they accomplished. And I'm the mentor. Okay. So I will tell you flat out that this works. Now, let me stop. What I've done here is I've added a tremendous amount of credibility to the information I just shared. I used an example of a success story, and I shared who that person was and what they did and what they were able to accomplish. And so what I've done is I've taken away the audience's excuses for non-action, because they might be sitting back, well, yeah, shit, man. I mean, look at this. It works for you, John. I mean, look at how easy you explained it like it's no big deal. You know, there's no way I can do what you do. And so by sharing a real world success story, a client story with them, I'm making it easier for them to take action, because my ultimate goal when I'm speaking with an audience is if I can just get one person to walk away from that speech and their life is changed, I have accomplished my goal. So sharing a success story, when you can add it, is the key. Okay. So let me pause here to kind of put up a couple of things here. So we're now probably 45, 50 minutes into this, and I'm talking about a 7 to 15 minute signature talk. You're like, dude, there's no way in heck I'm going to fit this into 7 to 15 minutes. Yes, you can. Because here's the key about great talks. You're going to practice it, practice it, practice it, practice it. You cut out. You want to cut out every single word, phrase, story that the audience does not need to hear. Just because you want to hear it doesn't make it right. That's that kind of sounds harsh, but that I'm a high D personality. I don't know any other way to explain it. But that's what my speaker coach has told me before, is like when you're going after, like one of my clients is a TED Talk speaker. And I'll never forget when she landed the opportunity to be a TED speaker, and we had to role play this and role play it and role play it. And I mean, you have to cut out certain sentences and certain phrases and this, whittle it down to a timed speech. And so even though there's a lot of stuff that you have on your heart that you want to share, you only want to share what the audience needs to hear. Does that make sense? And nothing more. Okay? And so great speech writers will, especially in today's world where we have Zoom, like the two of you, okay, and anybody watching this recording, but the two of you specifically, since you're here, and you're the only two people I invited, okay? And as a thank you for your time, not only am I going to give you the video recording of this training, but this training is being transcribed to Otter, and so you're going to get the word for word transcript of this call, okay? And I'm going to send it to you. Now, for those of you out there in YouTube land and are watching this recording, if you want the transcript of this call, then you need to send me or text me your name and your email, your first name and last name, and your email to 916-741-0596. 916-741-0596. Now, you can always take this recording and transcribe it yourself, but I want to make it super duper easy for you, and I'm going to give you the referral form, and I'm going to give you some advanced speaker training. Okay? For you two don't have to text me. How do you think I got you two here? I had you text me. Remember when I was given the talk last week in the mastermind call, and I made this offer? And I said, hey, if you want to be a part of this training, then text me your name and your email, and both of you did. So did it work?
Sure did.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, because you're both here. So it does work. Okay, so that's another example of I just told a story about a speaking strategy. I told a real world story, a success story of you too. You see how that worked out? Okay. And so now that I'm done with my intro, my outcomes, my chunk 1 or chunk 2, chunk 3, whatever size talk I'm doing, now I want to transition into a call of action. So after I finish up with the second piece, I'm going to basically say, okay, you know what? I hope you got a lot out of today. I've given you this. I've given you exactly how to approach your existing customers, the questions to ask them, the follow-up that you need to do within 48 to 72 hours. And if you need help, you're going to get the referral form that you can customize to your business, and you're going to get the word-for-word script to this talk, so you can go and copy and paste the scripts that I've put here today. However, there are some of you that would probably want to engage with me beyond this. So that is a transition into a close. Okay. There are some of you that would like to probably engage with me beyond this. Now, if you notice throughout my talk, and I learned this from my mentor, Steve Napaton, is I planted little calls to action throughout my talk. Okay, you know what? If you want this form, just text me, 916-741-0596. Give me your name and your email address, and I'm gonna give it to you. Right? So if you notice, if you go back and play the recording, I've planted those seeds all throughout. And you want to do that. Good speakers will do that. Okay? And so now that I'm in the call to action, I go, hey, okay, so here's what I want you to do. Because I'm not going to sell you anything today. Okay? But I do want to connect with you. And I do want to follow up with you. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to create a Dropbox folder. And I'm going to put today's recording, the transcript to the recording. I'm going to put the referral form in there. I'm going to put a couple of signature talks that I've done on referral systems, and I'm going to put some advanced referral training in there. And I'm going to give each one of you an opportunity to craft your talk, your referral script, okay? And I'm going to give you an opportunity to role play that with me, okay? I'm going to give you 10 minutes for free. And how you're going to get that is this. You're going to send me a text at 916-741-0596. It's 916-741-0596, your name and your email address. And when you're ready to have me review I'm going to add you to the Dropbox folder because I can't email it to you. And if you think I'm going to put you in my email database and send you email, you better believe I'm going to do that. So you just know that when you send me that text. Not going to spam you, not going to waste any of your time with a bunch of stupid stuff, okay? Now, when you crafted your referral script, I want you to call me up, okay? I want you to go to my website, johnpyron.com, click on Book Appointment, and I want you to schedule that 10-minute slot, and I'm going to hear your referral pitch, and I'll help you tweak it a little bit. It won't take more than 10 minutes. And I promise you this, I'm not going to pitch you anything on that call. So again, text me your name and email address to 916-741-0596. Have a great day. Boom. So that's the call to action. Okay? So if I was doing a call to action where I was pitching something from the front of the room, just say I'm at the end of my 45-minute front of the room talk, and I'm going to sell, let's just say I'm going to sell my strategy session. Okay? So I do a 2-hour strategy session, right? And so there are components to your call to action that you need to make sure are listed in your call to action. And they are this. Number one, what is the program? What is the program, product, or service? What is the name of it? It's the name of the program, product, service. Okay? Very simple. That's step number one. Step number two, what's included? What's included in the deal? Step number three is, are there any bonuses? Now, the other thing that you can do at the very beginning, and I have done it very successfully, is I go, here's the name of the program, okay? So I'm here at the end of my talk, and I go, okay, so tell you what, Some of you are going to take what I've talked about today and you're going to implement it because you're the Home Depot kind of business owner and you want to do it yourself, and that's fine. There are some of you that don't want to do that and you want some help and you want some mentoring. And so what I've designed from this talk is a 2-hour strategy session. Normally I'm charging $1,000 for that, but because you're on today's talk, I'm going to make you a super duper killer deal. So what I have inserted in there is my retail price. And I let them know that up front. But because I want to lead in with that, I go, but because you're watching this and because you're on this webinar today, or you're on this conference call today, or you're in this seminar today, I've got a super duper special deal for you. Now they're like, oh, really? What's the super duper deal? You know? And then I go into, okay, but before I get to that, let me explain to you what's included. And I give them the list. So what's included in my strategy session is clarity around your biggest goals that you want to hit by the end of the year. And I'm going to do an assessment of your behaviors and skill sets and motivators and driving force. I'm going to do a mini SWOT analysis on your business. I'm going to have a lot of clarity about you and your business, your strengths, your weaknesses. I'm going to give you strategies that play to your strengths and minimize your weaknesses, and give you a step-by-step plan on how to hit your biggest goals by the end of the year, and you will be successful with it. That's number one. Number two is, because I'm going into what's included in the strategy session, is we're going to get a lot of clarity around the biggest challenges that you have, how they're impacting your business, and I'm going to give you some step-by-step solutions to solve those problems. And you're going to be able to go out and take action whether we work together or not. Number three is I'm going to help you get a lot of clarity around the ultimate life you want to live. And we're going to get a lot of clarity around the lifestyle that you want to live, how you want to wake up in the morning, how do you want to spend your day, what kind of home do you want to have, what kind of car do you want to drive, what kind of income you want to make. And we're going to design a business that would support that life. And by the time we're done, you're going to know exactly what you need to go do. But more importantly, you're going to get an experience of what it's like to work with me, and I'm going to get an experience of what it's like to work with you. And if we both like one another at the end, we can make a decision whether we want to work together. So that's what's included. So that would be what's included. Now I'm going to go into the next section, which is bonuses. And I'm on a webinar, I'm on the front of the room talk or whatever, and I'm going to go, you know what? Tell you what. For those of you that sign up today, for those of you that take action today, whether it didn't matter if I'm on a webinar, if I'm on a front of the room talk, those of you that take action today, I'm going to include my master class, I'm going to include my mastermind vault, I'm going to include this, I'm going to include that, I'm going to include TTI assessment. The key is 7 bonuses. 7 is the magic number. Research has been done with millions of people, and the sweet spot is 7. Okay? Some of the top trainers in the world will all agree 7 bonuses is that magic holy grail. And it should be 7 bonuses that don't cost you any time and very little money. So evergreen recordings of things, mastermind recordings, content recording. That's why it's so important to record content constantly so you can create packages. And they become bonuses that you give away at the front of the room or on a webinar. So for signing up today, I'm going to give you this bonus. It's worth this. It's worth this. It's worth this. It's worth this. And here's 7 bonuses. They all add to $2,979, whatever, right? And so I give them all the bonuses. So we've got, here's the name of the program. Here's the price. However, stick around because I'm going to give you a better price. Here's what's included. Here's the bonuses. The next step, if you have it, if you don't, you should get one. Here's the guarantee. Okay, you want to have a guarantee. And so here's strategy session. Here's what's included. Here's the bonuses. But you know what? Some of you, I get it. You don't know me. You just heard me for 45 minutes. Tell you what, let me guarantee it. So I'll guarantee you this. If you show up to the strategy session, you pay for it, you show up to the strategy session, we get 45 minutes into this 2-hour strategy session, and you don't like me and I don't like you, and it's just not working for you, all you got to do is go, hey, it's not working for me. and I'll give you 100% refund. So that would be a guarantee, right? If you're selling the product, you know what? Buy the product. You know, if you don't like it, here's your 30-day, 100% unconditional money-back guarantee. You know, and so you want to offer a guarantee. That's the next component. The next component is I want to give them the price. Now, I promise you that, you know, for those of you here today, I'm going to give you a super duper price. So normally I'm charging $1,000 for a strategy session. If you go to my website and you look on there and you want to book a 2-hour strategy session, it says $997. But if you sign up today and take advantage of that, I'm going to give it to you for $500 with all the bonuses, with all the guarantee, with everything. In fact, I'm going to add something special because if I'm on a webinar, I want to do an additional bonus ad at this point. In fact, for the first 10 people that sign up, the first 10, and if you're watching the recording, this is going to be on the honor system. The first 10 of you that sign up, I'm going to allow you to take, if we do work out something where we work together or you take advantage of other programs that I have, I'm going to take that $500 and I'm going to put it as a credit towards that other stuff. In fact, if you sign up today, I'm going to give you a ticket to the 2-day sales mastery class I'm doing in October. The first 10 people. Next component, how to buy. So if you're interested to take action right now, here's how you do it. Go to johnpyron.com and book an appointment. Okay? Go to johnpyron.com and click on 2-hour strategy session. Go to johnpyron.com, click on book appointment, click on 1-hour strategy session, 2-hour strategy session, 10, 15-minute call. Whatever my call to action web page is, that's where I want to send them, or a URL. Okay? Then what we have is the final close to a good talk, to a good 45-minute front of the room talk or a keynote speech, is I want to end with the heartfelt story. And so I hope you got a lot out of that today. You guys know how to take advantage, to take action on this. There are a lot of you that really resonated with what I was talking about, but I want to close with this. Remember I talked about when I first started, I was 17. July 21st, 1987, 12:35 in the afternoon. I'll never forget the day. It was sunny. It was a little warm. It was in Oakland, 40th Avenue and East 14th Street, and I had just lost everything. I lost my car, my job, my home. I literally was on the street homeless. Had Gary not come into my life in that hour, my plan was to take the .38 caliber I had in my pants here and put it right here and end it. That's where I was. But because he came into my life and put me in a facility and allowed me to get clean and sober, I've been able to help thousands of people, and I want to help you. And I asked him point blank when I got out of that treatment facility, I'm like, how can I ever repay you? He said, I want you to make something of your life, keep your nose clean, stay off of drugs, do something with your life. And when you're in a position to help others, I want you to help them. And that's what drives me. That's why I'm passionate about it, and I want to help you. Hope this has been fun. Have a great day. So I'm ending it with the same heartfelt story that I had in the beginning, which is my story. Okay? And I've added more emotion to the end. Okay? So real quick, do either one of you have any questions about the close, the call to action, or the ending? Any questions, comments, or feedback?
Well, as a Canadian, I sort of think guns shouldn't be so readily available, so that couldn't happen. Like that just blows my, because people wouldn't have guns here available like that. So that wouldn't be such a dramatic close. They would have had, they'd have jumped off a bridge or something maybe.
Yeah, I normally would never, like in this case, because this is a training, this is a recorded training that I'm doing for the two of you, and everybody else is going to get the benefit of it. You'll be speaking and you're just getting that vibe from the audience. There's the energy level and just your heart goes out, right? And so, I'm like, oh my God, did I just say go and book a 10-minute call? It's like, hey, it is what it is. I'll help as many people as I can, but I book the hell out of my calendar for sure. And I'll get to them. But yeah, I mean, speaking is the one way that you become an expert. The more you do it, the easier it gets. The more you find your voice, the more you realize the people that resonate with you. And you just keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. So, Jacqueline,
your energy just shifted to John.
Yeah.
John, my question is, when you are doing your value story, you are going through all that's included, you're going through the bonuses. Are you giving the value of each thing as well?
Yeah, if I was on the webinar or I was in the front of room talk, right, it would be a bullet point.
How does that?
I have what I'll do is in this Dropbox folder is I'll drop the PowerPoint to my most requested talk, which is how to 10x your referrals, and it's broken down. All 3 chunks are broken down. Boom, 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 boom. You'll see the call to action. You'll see all that stuff. But yeah, each bonus item is listed out with the value of that bonus item, and then it's all added up at the bottom. So you're going to get $14,000 worth of bonuses.
Mm-hmm. What typically is what I observe and what I feel when others are doing that. Although I know it's a strategy, I know it's important, I know it has value, it shows the tremendous discount they're getting. That's when you really kind of start to feel salesy, because it's like, but wait, there's more and another and more. It's worth $50 million, but you get it for $2. It just, everyone knows to expect that. So how do you go through that authentically and still hold the audience?
Yeah. So what I do is I literally, when I get to the slide thing, now I can do this now. And I've been able to do this for the last 3 or 4 years. When I first started doing what I'm doing, I could not do it with any kind of authority. But because I've been doing this for so long, and I have helped so many people with strategy sessions, with my skill set, with my consulting and that sort of thing, when I get to this part of the deal, I still have all the bonuses and all the slides. And as I'm going through the bonus thing, I'm like, you know what? The price of the strategy session and the fact that you're going to be able to spend 2 hours with me on your business with all the experience and the thousands of people I've done this with is worth 10 times $500. Okay. And that's why I have 0 issues with giving you 100% of your money back. But I want to bonus you and I want to reward you for taking action today. And that's why these bonuses are here. Okay. Take the bonuses, throw them in the garbage. It doesn't matter to me. Mm-hmm. The most valuable piece of this thing is going to be that 2 hours that you get with me one-on-one. Because I guarantee you'll walk away and your life will not ever, ever, ever be the same. I know this because I have yet to give 1 refund. Actually, no, I take it back. I gave 1 refund 5 years ago because a lady bought it. I think she was in New York, right? And she bought it, all fired up, did the assessment, did all the homework. We were all set up, and her husband found out that she bought it. and the husband said, "What the heck are you?" I mean, she called me up. I don't know what the dynamics were, but she was really worried. I'm like, we kind of have already been doing all this stuff, and work. And I said, but if it's that important to you, here you go. So, but other than that, I've never had to give a refund, and so I tell that story in this part of the talk. I'm like, hey, buy it, don't buy it. I know this. After you spend 2 hours with me, your life will never be the same. I know it for a fact. I'm willing to guarantee it. I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. So you got no risk. Bonuses are just an added value because I want you to get a head start on where you want to go.
Okay.
So if you, and the only reason I can do that is because I have seen so much life transformation. I learned this 2-hour strategy session in 2015 from my mentor, Steve Nabaton, because I was giving away 30, 45-minute free coaching sessions, right? Because that's what most coaches are taught to do when they first start is, hey, I'll give you a free coaching session. If we resonate, we can do business. And I built a good 6-figure business doing that. But when Steve got together with me in May 17th, 2015, he said, your skill set's too valuable to be giving away that kind of time. And that's where I introduced the 10-minute call, which led to a strategy session. And that's where I started doing strategy sessions on front of the rooms and webinars and things like that. And so never lose the sight of when you get to the call of action, if you yourself are not completely sold 100% on the value of what you're having somebody else buy, you can't be as strong like that. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I'm convinced with what I have to offer. But when you start to read the body language of, oh, I've been through this bullet pointed value ladder before, you start to see the body language start to change.
Yeah, and different speakers, like when I'm in a live audience or a live talk, some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth, I'm like, wow. That was, because I'm so engulfed in the audience and so engulfed with the energy from the audience. And I really, I have checked John Pyron at the door before I even walk on stage. I've literally mastered that skill because I used to be so scared when I got in front of an audience. Because I have an engineer background. I went to computer tech school. I worked at Hewlett Packard. First business I had failed because I hated sales. I mean, my mentor at the time wanted me to go talk to perfect strangers. I'm like, oh, what? And so now when I'm talking to an audience and I get to that part, I'm really sold 100% on the ability to add value. Now, I will tell you, man, there are certain types of audiences. I can think of one very specific audience where the perfect client was in the room. There were 25 people in the room. It was put on by the Small Business Administration. I mean, I thought, this is a gold mine. And I couldn't get any energy from that audience at all. It was like, and I think what it was is the way they had the room, the lighting of the room, it was just a low energy level. The most valuable lesson I learned from that, because I didn't make a single sale that day, and I was beating the heck out of myself. And I'm like, so I called up my mentor at the time. He's like, you were more focused on you than you were them. You are the thermostat in that room, not them. And you allowed their non-energy back to you. Because speakers are, when you're on a stage in front of the room, you feed off the energy of the audience. Okay? And that's why I think we're going to see some of the best speakers ever created during this COVID thing, is because they don't have the benefit of a live audience. And you're going to see some people develop some skill set that is extremely hard to develop, because when you're on stage in front of 10, 50, 100, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people, the bigger the audience, the more energy that brings. And it becomes almost a surreal experience up there. But when you are talking to a camera and you don't get that energy level, it's a different deal. So you have to be the thermostat in your talk. That's why it's so important if you're going to do a live webinar, front of the room talk, like this 7 to 15 minute talk I'm going to do, either going to cut it tonight or tomorrow. I have to get it done this week, but I've already worked out exactly what I'm going to say. I just got to get the timing down now. And I'm going to I'm going to do it. I'm going to literally have my watch, and I'm going to time the thing. And I'm literally going to be timing the talk. And the moment I screw up, I'm stopping and then start over. Stop, start over, stop, start over, stop, start over. I'm going to get it so nailed that I'll have a final video cut.
Okay? I just want to speak to Jacqueline's question about feeling salesy. One of the things I've learned is that when you name an emotion, it loses its power, right? So you might even say, this may come across as salesy to some of you, but I genuinely believe in everything that I'm telling you, and there's great value here. So if you think it's salesy, that's okay. You're not my people, but I am speaking from my heart right now. And then you allow people to leave, which they won't, because they don't want to be those people that leave, even intellectually. So more people will stay, but you've given them permission to think that it's salesy, and then giving them permission to buy back in again. So I think that's I've done that before, is tell people I'm going to say something that's going to annoy them. Then when they feel annoyed, they don't feel so bad, so they're not so annoyed.
That's a great point, Myrna. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, I've done, I did the SBDC, Small Business Development Center. I was giving a talk one time there, and I don't know what was going on with me. I'm just like, I got to the end, and I'm like, you know what? This is the point of the time where I'm going to go into my pitch. Okay, I'm going to go into my close. I'm going to give you the song and pony dance. Okay, I'm going to give you all the golden nuggets, the bonuses, all this other stuff, and at the end of the day, you're going to buy or you don't buy. Okay, I just want to let you know up front, buy or don't buy, you're not going to offend me. But I feel like I'm obligated to share this list.
Yeah.
And it totally, it's like you said, I wasn't even reminded about that, but it totally disarmed the audience.
Yeah, and then they feel free to be whoever they want to be. Yeah.
At the end of the day, if like for me, what helps me out whenever I speak is I'm looking for one person to walk away from that webinar, to walk away out of that room, and their life is different. And I just constantly keep that in mind. It's not about all the moment I start chasing the money in the speech is the moment I lose connection with the audience. That's just me personally. Okay. Some people can do, I'm not saying there's a right or wrong thing there. I'm just saying what works for me is the moment I start focusing on oh my God, there's 1,500 people here today, and 300 are going to buy. Oh my God, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to go on this trip. The moment I put the focus back on me, I'm done. I'm not going to deliver the speech that I should be delivering. And because I tell you this, and you probably can resonate with this as well, there have been talks that I've been in, I'm in the audience, and that speaker said one thing, and it completely changed the direction of my life. I'll never forget, I was at, I was 23 years old, and I was at an Amway conference at Arco Arena, 12,000 people up there, and I'm building my first business, and I am just struggling, and I'm arguing with my mentor at the time about what to go do. And this guy got up on stage and he says, you know what? Right in the middle of his talk, I don't even remember what the talk was about, but the one sentence that changed the entire direction of my life, he says, if you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. And I'm like, this guy's talking to me. If you argue for your limitations, John, you get to keep them. And that's how I took it. When all he said was, if you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. But it was part of had I not been in the room, had I not been at that seat, at that moment, that time, man, that changed everything for me. And so understanding When you talk, whether it's on a webinar, whether it's in the front of the room, the words you say could do great harm to a person, or they can have a tremendous life impact on that person. And so never ever take the opportunity for a speech. It's like my old mentor Eric told me, it's like, if I have a talk and 3 people are going to be there, I'm showing up. If I have a talk and 25 people are supposed to be there and I show up and only 2 are there, I'm going to give the talk as if 25 people showed up. Never rob your audience of the gift that you have. Because that's what it's all about. The money will come. Trust me. The more you talk, the more money you're going to make. So this has been fun. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
You know, I hope you both got a lot out of it. And so if you're watching this recording, just go back and remember, you know, to get the opportunity to get access to all the resources I promised, 916-741-0596, name and email address. Okay. And if you like this, share it, make some comments, go to LinkedIn if you can for me, and just make a recommendation on there. Just speak from the heart. What did you get out of this talk? Really, really helped me reach more people. So I hope you guys had a great time. We'll talk to you later. All right, we're clear.
Thank you so much, John. That was great.
Yeah, thank you, John. That was really good.
Oh, you bet.
Yes.
I'll go to LinkedIn right now.
I appreciate it.
Before I
All
forget.
right, ladies, have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Okay.
And I'll either put together that Dropbox folder tonight or tomorrow, but it'll happen this week, no later than Wednesday, and then I'll send that all to you guys. Okay.
Thank you
Okay.
so very much.
Thank
I
you.
was excited about this for 2 reasons. Number one, I truly enjoyed your session last week, but also number 2, that day and the next day I got booked for 2 different speaking engagements. So I'm going to use your magic.
That's
awesome.
great.
Awesome. Well, you can do it. You can do it. If either one of you ever need to need some additional mentoring or support, just reach out to me. You know how to get a hold of me.
We'll do that.
All right,
Thanks.
thank you.
All right.